Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World. My name is Anna Kalczyńska. After nearly 2 weeks of closure due to heightened security measures following the Russian-Belarusian military drills, Poland reopened today its border crossings with Belarus. The episode raises a wider question: how secure is Poland's eastern border? While the reopening eases trade and travel disruptions, it comes amid intensified efforts to expand Poland's population protection and civil protection programs. With our guests, Sławomir Majman, Deputy Director, Institute for Security and International Development, will discuss how the Polish authorities try to induce social resilience and preparatory measures being taken to increase security. Good morning, sir, and thank you for coming to TVP World in person this morning. So let's begin with the eastern border. We've heard from the Polish government previously that the border might be closed for a prolonged period. Then it was stressed that the border will only be opened under assurances that the citizens' safety, at some point, some would say, should be assured. Then Radosław Sikorski, Minister of Foreign Affairs, even said at some point that the border will be reopened only if political prisoners in Belarus would be released. So what happened? Which of these factors had been met that the Polish authorities decided to open the border?
It's a very good question, because as a matter of fact, none of these conditions which were formulated by the members of the Polish government on the day of shutdown of the border were fulfilled. Let me remind you, Polish government took a decision to close the border because of national security reasons.
Because of Zapad 2025 drills.
Because the Minsk was hosting the military drill organized every 4 years together with Russia. And the Polish government decided that it's a threat to our national security, and because this exercise is based on a scenario involving war with NATO. And this was the immediate reason to close the border. At the same time, Belarusian regime was accused of organizing arson, misinformation on social media, some sort of subversive activity against Poland, the whole list of accusation, plus, of course, permanent issue, which are the political prisoners, despite Lukashenko flirting now with the Washington, D.C. administration, and is releasing various groups of political prisoners. More than 1,000 political prisoners are in Belarusian jails. Anyway, the major issue was the national security and the Zapad exercise. At the same time, please remember in which conditions and what was the atmosphere on the day when this decision was taken. It was just almost the same time when Poland was invaded by the 19 Russian drones, and the tension, international and geopolitical tension in Poland, all of a sudden went up. And we had on one side the drones issue, and the first case, NATO countries shoot at the Russian drones, and then we had a decision to close the border with Belarus.
One could argue that even a closed border will not stop drones from flying if someone intends to. On the other hand, we had the economic issues. So the prolonged closure was also to the detriment of Polish citizens. So what happened, and what was the final factor that led to the opening?
To call it spade a spade, closing a road and railway connection with Belarus will not stop drones, absolutely, and secondly, they will not protect Poland in case of the Russian-Belarusian aggression to be. Yeah?
Of course.
Because this is not the measure which are... first of all, the military drills, Zapad, were much, much smaller than ever before. Secondly, of course, we should mention economic factor. It was enormous problem, the closure of the shutdown of the border, for first of all the treasury-controlled company PKP Cargo, which is in big trouble because anyway in big trouble, selling off whatever they can sell off, but blocking connections with Asia means a total disaster to the company which is 100% controlled by government. Mm-hmm. Plus, we should have in mind thousands and thousands of small and medium-sized businessmen from eastern Poland who are suffering because they couldn't do their everyday job, moving goods from Belarus border area to Polish border area.
We still don't know what will happen today. Alexander Lukashenko traveled to Moscow, so we will see if he intends to perhaps meet the conditions that were set. At some point, there was also some reports saying that perhaps the releasing of Andrzej Poczobut is in play. So we will have to wait and see.
Lukashenko is playing once again. It's a complicated game with Americans, generally with the West. Poland is not a major factor in this game. We are not a major player. And the conditions put by the Polish government could be the secondary in comparison to the dialogue Lukashenko maintains now with American envoys.
We might not be a partner in this dialogue, as you say, but we, however, had this border closed, and that was a leverage.
It was a leverage, but as I say, the Lukashenko and propaganda, media propaganda in Belarus, inspired by the government, is like that our leader, Lukashenko, the tough Belarusian, who is not fully dependent upon Russia, is having his private, very specific dialogue with American president. And this is the major political line in what's happening now in Belarus. And okay, reopening. We have the economic factor. We simply, the government didn't want to put additional pressure on the business people and a huge state-owned company. Then we got Belarus factor. Then last but not least, China factor.
Exactly. Wang Yi, the visit of Chinese Minister for Foreign Affairs, his meetings here with Radosław Sikorski. What could have been the potential influence?
No, I want to put it crystal clear. Visit of Minister Wang Yi was not the result of any shutdown of the Polish border.
No, it was prepared in advance.
It was prepared months ago, and it simply coincided with the closure of the border. And this border is, to a certain extent, very significant for China, because this is the part of the China-Europe Express, which is in turn part of the new Silk Road. And however, land transport is absolutely minor in comparison with the sea transport. But nevertheless, European estimates are more or less like that. The value of the goods moved by this Belarusian, crossing this Belarusian-Polish border per annum are more or less $25 billion, the value of these goods. Okay, it's a small fraction in comparison to the 750 roughly US dollars, which is a turnover between China and the EU, but nevertheless it is a problem. I used to be during this crisis in Beijing, and I had the opportunity to talk to many analysts and politicians in Beijing. They said, okay, of course we can move to the south, or we can move these goods to Klaipeda. Within 2 weeks we can open the new route. But it was for many years the major political argument that in the relations between China and, first of all, CEE, Central Eastern Europe, that we Chinese initiated the the China-Europe Express coming through Poland. 80% of land goods coming from China to Germany comes through Poland.
So they could open another
and
corridor.
I think it was Polish common sense. I wouldn't say that it was a pressure of Minister Wang Yi, who arrived to Poland to discuss many other issues, but I think it was the common sense of the Polish side.
All right.
Despite the fact that, as you have noticed at the beginning, the statements of various ministers, first of all, Minister of Internal, were like that: we shall close it for many years, and we shall be open, and it will be peace on one side and peace on the other side.
Exactly.
No, it's common sense win.
All right. Even though Lukashenko released 52 prisoners, although, of course, they imprisoned some others, but as I understand, these negotiations are ongoing, so we just have to wait and see. So let's now move on to the civil defense program. It was discussed yesterday in the Sejm. Now we see those discussions reopening, and the whole program amounts to 17 billion for this year and year 2026. At what stage are we in the implementation of the program, and how do you assess it?
The very frank answer is we are in the preliminary stage of the civil defense programs, preparations, acquisitions, modernizations, and so on and so on. Actually, we started to talk seriously about the civil defense last year, when new legislation was approved by the Polish Parliament, and frankly speaking, the problem with this legislation on the civil defense is that it still is waiting for some executive decisions by the various ministries and governmental bodies. The concept is a sort of a concert on many instruments, because we got our fire police as one of the major players, which is not fully prepared for it. We have the local governments, which is the major player, which are not fully prepared for it. In some Polish counties, powiaty, there's only one person dealing with the issue, and in majority of the Polish counties, there's only one person dealing with the issues of civil defense. Well, I'm talking about a little bit pessimistic picture, not to say to go to the more optimistic conclusion that international situation speed up this preparation for the civil defense in Poland. But first of all, it requires, of course, a lot of money to buy the equipment for modernizations and so on. But first of all, it requires quite a lot of job to prepare the structures. And I think this is the main task for the next couple of years.
Thank you so much, Sławomir Majman. Thank you so much for coming to the studio and for sharing your insights with us here on TVP World.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Thank you so much for being with us, and please stay tuned to TVP World.